All right, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing another Walking Dead video for today, leading up to the start for Fear the Walking Dead Season 5 in June, as well as the eventual return of the Walking Dead original series in October with its Season 10. This one we're going to give our thoughts on Scott Gimple saying that Fear the Walking Dead Season 5 is going to continue a story that started in the original Walking Dead. Alright, dude, so I hope everything is going well. I definitely wanted to do a video with you guys today. It's sort of like, mostly a Q&A for this one. But, we'll go into this article here, and there's some new Dead update stuff, stuff surrounding the show that we'll give our thoughts on. But definitely want to do one tonight, at least one, because Sundays is Walking Dead Day, and there's no Walking Dead right now, right? So, next week will be Game of Thrones Day. My bad, it's not today. Next Sunday is the premiere for Game of Thrones. So pretty excited for that. We'll be starting with reviews for that next Sunday night. But, a lot of weeks in a row of Walking Dead, right? It's been an incredible season with Season 9, and it's Sunday, so we got to do at least something Walking Dead related, at least one for the day, otherwise it just wouldn't feel right. So we'll get into lots of your guys' questions, because there is still lots of stuff to talk about after Season 9 going into Season 10 and discussion, and then of course Fear the Walking Dead Season 5, which, I guess we should kind of switch over to doing more fear-based videos, because it is the next Walking Dead thing coming up, and it does feel more Walking Dead than it ever did before, considering we have both Morgan and now we're going to have Dwight crossing over into Fear the Walking Dead as well, which is good, because then, when you look at the original Walking Dead series, a lot of its characters are new, and a lot of the things it's doing are kind of being switched up as well, too. So for Fear, it has not quite as much of an original Walking Dead feel, but it's getting more and more all the time as they're adding more characters to it from the original roster. Of the original series. So Fear the Walking Dead Season 5 to continue a story from the main series. Link will be in the description. You guys can check it out from Screen Rant. It says, quote, "This season, I wouldn't classify it as an enemy, but there will be this. Beyond us and Amelio, this very interesting commonality. This story strand that's going to be furthered on this show that started on The Walking Dead," teased Gimple. "And who knows where it will go, but that's the thing on tap right now." So, of course, one of the mentions below is, do we think it could be something to do with Rick? Do we think it could be something to do with the helicopter and the group that's responsible for capturing Rick? So it says here, could the storyline that Gimple hits at be connected to the main series man himself, Rick Grimes, and the mystery of his helicopter flying kidnappers? Hopefully fans will soon find out when Season 5 of Fear the Walking Dead premieres in June. It's really hard to say, like, with everything we're seeing kind of develop right now for the future of the series and the movies. And, with the Walking Dead Season 9 finale, you have another group that they're getting in contact with, presumably probably not the same group that Maggie is at with Georgie. So you have Georgie's group, which may or may not be the Commonwealth from the comics. Then you have this other group that Eugene and the others and Ezekiel will probably be on the radio with in Season 10. So that's an additional one. Then you have another group on top of that, which, will likely take Rick, which likely will be antagonists, but we'll have to see. Maybe they won't be bad guys. Then we have the Fear group, the original Walking Dead group, right? And then on top of that, they're going to be adding on another Walking Dead series, which the other series may be at a different timeline. So we'll have to see if the other series is something totally different, if they do prequels in it, whatever they decide to do. But they did there are some interviews that have alluded to the possibility of maybe seeing some of the older characters from The Walking Dead in Fear, like Abraham and characters like that. So we'll see if they ever decide to do that. That could be cool. So, continuing a story. So we'll have to see which one he's referring to. Of course, he says beyond us and Amelio, so beyond Dwight. Of course, Dwight's story is going to be crossing over into Fear, and we'll see what's happened with him all this time after the end of All Out War when Daryl banishes him, which I feel like makes more sense now because Daryl is sort of the lead for the series. It makes a lot of sense that Dwight is not returning, because if Daryl's not cool with him and if he banishes him, then it's kind of like he can basically never return to that show pretty much unless Daryl kind of okays it. Not that Daryl is the Rick of The Walking Dead now and that he's the leader of the communities, but he's he's the forefront character in the show. So if he banishes him, then it's kind of like, okay, he's got to go into the other show, right? So it makes sense, but we'll have to see what happened to him after the events of All Out War, whether or not he found Sherry. Maybe he didn't. And then after that, just what Gimple means here by, a story that the story strand that's going to be furthered on the show that started on The Walking Dead. So maybe if he's not referring to Dwight's journey, I mean, you have Morgan on there as well too, who his story started in the original Walking Dead, so both of those characters did, and then maybe we'll see some other crossover here with other groups, but there is a huge time skip in between where the original Walking Dead series is at now after that, 7.5 years or 8 years or whatever it was, about 8-year time skip that they went through in season 9, and where Fear's at right now, because Fear right now will likely be after the events of All Out War, but within that year and a half that they just skipped, or the first year and a half before Rick. So when we're seeing this play through in Fear, it might be around the same time that Rick is actually still there and hasn't even left yet. So we'll have to see kind of where the timeline fits, and they haven't told us exactly where it fits in with versus the other series yet, versus the original Walking Dead series yet. So we'll see how close that gets. Another one that was kind of big, a lot of people kind of commenting about, which is that Whiskey Cavalier has kind of fallen off in terms of the ratings a little bit. Episode 6 was just over 3 million. So John Halliday, and I think there's some sites as well too that were referencing this, comicbook.com and stuff like that. John Halliday was saying, Trev, have you seen the article about ABC projected to cancel Lauren Cohan's Whiskey Cavalier series? So I've seen the different stuff online. It sounds like it's speculation to me, but it's hard to say what ABC would be happy with in terms of viewership and where they would want to kind of cancel it at, like what the cancellation territory would be, and whether or not they're happy with kind of 3 million viewers per episode, or does it have to be over 5? Like, where does it have to be for them to decide? And that depends on the network, and that depends on what they're looking for and how much it costs for them to do the show, the time slot it's in. There's a lot of factors that play into that on whether or not it's going to be worth it for them to renew it for a second season, whether or not they want to. And sometimes, even if it's not performing that well, they might decide, let's do a second season because they see potential and they think it could build an audience and that kind of thing. So we'll see. Hopefully those articles are right, that hopefully that it will get canceled. I mean, I think that's what we all want. And then we'll see Maggie cross back over into The Walking Dead in season 10. But, I mean, there's no guarantees just yet. And it started off a lot stronger than I thought it would. And that's why I did the video on that before. There was even a couple episodes there at the beginning where it was, like, getting higher ratings than The Walking Dead, which I thought was just mind-blowing. I couldn't believe that. But it's on a bigger network than that, right? And it was on after the Oscars and stuff. So, it makes sense, but we'll see throughout the first season for Whiskey Cavalier if it can maintain that kind of audience, and if it can't, if it falls off, below 2 or 1, I would expect for it to probably be canceled at that point. But there's a lot of factors. Like I said, it's hard to say. Don't know for sure, but I think that's what we're all hoping for, because it'd be cool to see Maggie return in season 10 to the original Walking Dead series. Tainted Meat said, "Oh no Walking Dead until June 2nd. Withdrawal symptoms starting to manifest." Yeah, it didn't take long, right? Well, season 9 was so good, right? This being the first week, and that's why I just had to do one with you guys today, because I was like, oh, damn it, man, there's no Walking Dead tonight. It feels so strange, right? Like the first Sunday without a Walking Dead. But that's true. I mean, I don't know if we can consider Fear. I think Fear does the job good enough. I mean, it's something there for us. It's got Morgan in it. It's got Dwight in it. It's got some of the OG Fear characters in it. So I think it's pretty substantial. I think it's pretty good. And we'll see how the audience responds to it. It's kind of like I've said in recent videos, it's sort of a favorite series to hate. Like a lot of people, they maybe a guilty pleasure, or they watch it because they watch it to hate on it. It's kind of one of those types of things where they watch it, but they're mostly, most of the time, a lot of the audience is complaining about it, right? So, people not as interested in Fear as they are in the original, which I guess is natural, because it's a companion series, it's a spin-off, it's not the original. But we'll see this season how things go, and next couple years whether or not Fear is going to continue. I hope it will. It's better than nothing. Like, if you look at this weekend, there's really nothing on. It's like, damn it, man. It's kind of boring, and Game of Thrones is going to be ending this year. So I hope Fear can kind of continue for at least a few more years. Larry Breedfield Navas said, I think you are mistaken. If Angela Kang was in charge of the war years, so which is season 7 and season 8, I think they would have been great. Maybe the best of the 10 years. So we certainly wouldn't have seen Mad Max World with Rick as a junkyard gladiator. So some of the fun kind of action-oriented stuff that they did. I actually liked, I didn't have a problem with that, so I thought it was fun and exciting. And you kind of have to do stuff like that for casual viewers, right? You have to have some kind of silly, over-the-top stuff sometimes, and that was some of the most silly stuff Walking Dead has done, maybe with the Jadis Junkyard Group Gladiator, Zombie Gladiator. It's fun. So I thought it was a cool idea, and it certainly was good for like trailers. Like when you do a trailer, you're going to want to have stuff like that that's going to pique the audience's attention, so they're like, oh, I got to watch that, right? So if you don't do crazy stuff like that sometimes, then they won't. The other thing too is that with season 8, action is very difficult to do in a television series, right? It's very, very difficult to do. It's a lot easier to do in a movie where if someone gets hurt or something happens, they can, for example, Ben Affleck, when he was doing, what was it, Justice League or one of the movies like that, he got hurt, right? So they actually paused they delayed the release date and they paused filming for a little bit and then kind of came back to it later, I think, right? Isn't that right? Something like that happened. Anyway, with movies, you can kind of push back release dates, or you can adjust things, or you have more time. You can work with it more. But with the Walking Dead television series, where they're doing 16 episodes a season, they really don't have a lot of time to do stuff. So when you're doing an all-out war type of season like that, and you're going to do it the whole season, that's going to be really tough to do in terms of TV time, right? Versus, and if you think about 16 episodes, some are extended, so you're looking at like 16 times maybe 43 or 45 minutes or whatever it works out being with extensions. And, that's a tough thing to have to do. That's a tough thing to have to crank out and produce. So maybe it would have been better if they would have done half a season of All Out War and then moved on in the second half of season 8 to something else. I don't know. Maybe after All Out War ends and the Savior stuff, maybe done something else with that after. But personally, I thought it turned out about as good as you could probably do. Action is very difficult to do in a TV series because it takes a long time to set up and everything, and you just get like a few minutes of footage for stuff that could take days to set up and just really get ready for. So that's difficult to do, man. So maybe you're right. Maybe it would have been better. I don't know. But I think personally, as much hate as Gimple gets, without him, I don't know if the series would have gotten this far and would be expanding and doing stuff like that if he would have been able to save Rick with some ideas and do the movie and instead, they might have just killed him off if it was someone else. Who knows? You never know. How things would have gone, and he's still involved with the season 2. It's he's not the showrunner, but I'm sure he's heavily involved with guiding and with overall decisions and things like that. So yeah, absolutely. Agra says, my favorite episode of the entire series was No Way Out. It was a masterpiece. So, man, I agree with Agra. That was great. So we did a kind of a reflections video back in the first 10 years of The Walking Dead. So the first decade of Dead, and kind of our maybe favorite parts of the series, or I kind of gave my thoughts on each season and where they were at and that kind of thing, because it has been 10 years, and that's quite the milestone to get to 10 years, and now we're looking at basically the next decade, as they're kind of calling it. So, so that's really good. I'm happy to hear that it's, Walking Dead is going to be continuing on for a long time and everything, because like I said, I'd have to find another hobby, because I'm just, like the weekends, I look forward to Sundays every week when there's, something on 32 weeks a year with Fear and with the original Walking Dead series. You get that. And then there's some other shows too, which I enjoy, but none do I enjoy as much as the Walking Dead stuff, that's for sure. So No Way Out was absolutely incredible. You're right, man. It was a peak period for The Walking Dead for me. Not everybody feels that way. If you look at the Rotten Tomatoes scores, season 6 is a little bit lower. But I like the stuff with Alexandria. I thought it was cool because here they found sort of a new home, like the prison. They found a new kind of sanctuary, and they found people there that were good people. Not all of them were fighters, as we've seen recently too, is still the case. Not everybody is. And they were kind of blending in and fitting in. There was some social context there that was fun. Morgan was back. And you just had a shit ton of zombies, like the most ever in any show or series I can think of or I can remember, that looked like they were done with practical effects and looked real and everything like that. Meaning not counting like CG, World War Z and stuff like that, where you have like, masses, just crazy amounts. But it was like, I thought personally it was like the ultimate episode for a zombie apocalypse anything. If you watch back to the older Romero films and that, you always kind of wish to see something like that, like No Way Out, where there's just like to thousands of zombies all within shot. And they all look good. They all look real. They all, it was just an amazing thing, man, to see them do that. And the Andersons I thought was cool with Sam and Carl and the others and Rick. It saddens me that Michonne is like the only one left right now, and soon she won't even be there, right, from that kind of, well, there's Gabriel too, I suppose. He was in there too, and some of the others were, everybody was kind of there, but that's still there now. But in terms of that, the part where Sam starts, wets himself and starts crying, and the zombies, so that was incredible, man, and Michonne and everything, so that was so sick, for sure. That was an incredible episode. I don't think there was anybody who was disappointed after that episode. That was amazing. You got Daryl with the rocket launcher and everything, and the start of the Savior. So exciting, man. Really exciting time for the show. Ray Jackson says, will we get to see Aaron's new ninja skills that he learned from Jesus? I think that's a great question. Season 10 and going forward, I think Aaron will be used a lot because, first of all, Ross Marquand is awesome, but also he looks a lot like Rick from the comics, like uncanny, like it's uncanny. He's missing the hand, which is crazy because that matches. I'm sure that must have been deliberate. I highly doubt that was accidental, or maybe it was, but it just works out perfectly that he looks exactly like the comic Rick. And now Rick can't come back because he's going to the movies. So, it's almost like the glove just, it fits, it fits too well, so you got to wear it, right? So he's going to be good. The only thing from him is that he's not very enthusiastic sometimes. And if he's going to kind of take over that kind of, Rick type of position, or near, especially if Michonne leaves too, then you're going to want to see more of that. But we'll see. We'll see if he's, if he wants to stay with the series for many more years. I hope he will, because I think he could be really good, and he could kind of be our, I guess if Daryl's not Rick 2.0, maybe he could sort of be our Rick 2.0, or kind of fill that spot in Alexandria, if you guys know what I mean. Savage Rick Taters, I like that name, he says, I must admit Daryl has really stepped up on the show, proving most of us wrong that he could lead as a main character without Rick. And I think you're right, Rick Tater. Awesome. Daryl is awesome, right? And you need somebody, like, if everyone's going to leave, like, who's going to be there to be on the posters and lead the series and be someone everyone wants to watch and tune in to see? You need somebody there, otherwise the whole show will just capsize. And so, thankfully, Norman Reedus decided that he's going to stay in everything and he's going to continue. And I'm really happy to hear that. And I think so far, it's been great. I mean, the episode with him versus Beta, I didn't miss seeing Rick at all in that episode. Well, maybe a little, but not that much. That was amazing, right? Michonne's mom says, "Hey Trev, what about The Walking Dead last show? The last scene is Daryl Dixon as a lone walker in the field. So kind of an idea for an ending for The Walking Dead if Daryl turns into a walker at some point and is just wandering around the field. I don't know. I kind of tend to like the happy ending better for Daryl, where he just wanders off into the sunset, maybe goes off on some other adventure, and with dog and sun shining, and you see all that, and he just kind of wanders off with a crossbow and everything, and that'd be kind of cool, right? That'd be a good ending for The Walking Dead, right? You kind of have to do it at this point because he's like the only one who's still. It's crazy that he's kind of come to the forefront. If you look at the pictures of the earlier seasons, he's not even on the first poster. Neither is Carol. Like when they have all the characters and everybody's dead. The season one. That's why I put it in the reflections video. You see Rick, you see Shane, you see Glenn, you see Laura, you see Carl. Amy, and some of them have Andrea on the covers and that kind of stuff, and it's like they're all dead. They're all dead. It's just crazy to see. Okay, we'll just do a couple more for today. Derek Garza says, what happened to the police officers in season 5? Are they still alive? Around 6 years, time jump to season 10, or are they dead? It's more like, for Derek, it's more like probably 9 or 10 years from that time period, I would think. A lot of years. It's over 8. It's got to be over 9, I would think, too, from season 5. I would assume they're all dead. I don't think that group had what it needed to have in order to survive, personally. But, I mean, I could be wrong with that one, but I tend to think that they probably are all gone at this point. So I don't expect that we'll ever see them again. I would think that kind of after Dawn was probably taken out. The rest, I'm not sure if someone else would kind of step to leadership for that group, and as such, they might kind of just disintegrate after that. So that's kind of what I think would have happened, and you can fill in the blanks yourself. It's open to your imagination. There's no right or wrong here, but I I would tend to think, yeah, they're probably gone. And the last one will be from Ostro1980, who says, "Hey, Trev, Q&A. How would you have felt about Carl's death if he didn't happen in Season 8, or if it didn't happen in Season 8, but instead happened in Season 9, Episode 15, with his head on a stake?" Man, that would have been really surprising. That would have been like the most shocking, the biggest instant kind of death ever. But the downside of that is they would have lost all those episodes in Season 8 that they used for that. They kind of needed something in the middle. If you look at the season and the way All Out War played out, they needed kind of a spacer in there. And, they could have used another character, but in order to have it be a few episodes, or at least a couple episodes filled out, you had to use kind of a main character, I guess. So that's who they went with. I would have preferred if they would have went with somebody like, I don't know, maybe Tara at that time instead, and just had Carl survive, because I think that there was so much potential for the future of the series with him. But they don't want us to be able to predict. They don't want it to be too predictable either. And that's why they did the thing with Henry, too, is that, nobody would have expected to see that coming. And they did it, and it's kind of crazy. But it certainly does keep you on the edge of your seat. And they can bring in, as they've shown with Fear, I think as well, too, bringing in so many new characters, and Magnus Group in the original Walking Dead series, they can build new groups, they can build new characters and make you care for them. I was, sad when Henry was killed. So they did a good job of building him up in only a couple years. So they can build new characters, and they can do that. It's just nice for the fans to have some of those older characters in there still. And when you look at the Season 1 poster and like everybody's gone, or everybody's dead and Rick's off to the other franchise they're going to build here with the movies and that, it's just really crazy to see that, how many characters have been killed off in The Walking Dead. They, over time, they basically cleaned house, right? Almost everyone. So sometimes it's just like, just stop for a little while. Stop killing people. Crazy stuff. Anyway, that'll be it for today's video, guys. I hope you liked it. Just hanging out, spending some time with you guys, because there's no Walking Dead tonight. Definitely wanted to do that. And if you liked it, please thumb it up below. Let me know what you're thinking about Fear. How are you guys feeling about Fear? Are more people looking forward to it now, knowing that, okay, it's going to be there in the summer, we have something to look forward to with that, versus having to wait all the way until October for another, for another season of the show? Let me know what you guys think. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys again soon. Subscribe to the bottom left if you're new. In Season 10 now, that's it for this one. I'll see you guys again soon. As always, it's Trev, and I'm saying peace. Later, guys. See ya.